Alexa, play rain sounds. Hey you guys, welcome back to my channel. It's Kay. Now I tried to get this video out on Tuesday, but it's just been such a busy week for me. I mean, I hope you guys were having a great week, but I feel like my to-do list is like this long and I'm trying to do everything all at once, and you guys know how that is. But I'll be doing a few videos in my bathroom until I could create a new backdrop for my channel. So I'm working on that. But you know, like I said in the community tab, this is going to be EMT month, okay? So I'm going to be doing EMT videos the whole month. I'm going to share my experiences and hopefully my tips can help you guys. And you guys can always comment and tell me about different videos that you want to see, and I'll try my best to make those videos for you. And today's video, we're going to be talking about how to ace EMT school, okay? So we're not trying to just pass it, because we're trying to prepare for that NREMT. So if you can ace EMT school, that means that you're doing pretty well and you most likely do well on that NREMT, which is the goal. So if you want to find out the secrets to acing EMT school, stay tuned. Alright you guys, so my channel is a little bit weird because I talk about so many different topics, so the algorithm is like all over the place. I mean, you guys probably can't keep up with the different videos that I do. So the best way to see all my latest videos is to hit subscribe, hit that like button, and turn on your notifications, okay? That way you'll see all the latest videos, and that way you can keep up with me. Alright, now let's get back to the EMT stuff. Alright, so before you even get started with EMT school, the first thing that I want you to do is to decide, do I even have time for EMT school? Like, can I sit there and study and learn this material so that I'm preparing for that NREMT? So that's what I want you to do, because I mean, you can play, you know, I mean, if you go to school, you can play, but then you're gonna lose your money when you fail, right? So you want to make sure that you are prepared. You want to make sure that you can dedicate time and really focus on this for a couple of months. It's only one semester, so if you can just focus and get this thing done, then I say go ahead. But if you can't, maybe you should just wait for a time when you can, because you can't blame the instructor. You can't say I had a bad instructor, that's why I didn't do well. You know, if you have a bad instructor, that means that you have to put in 10 times more work than you're putting in right now. So, you know, you have to just be mentally prepared before you can proceed. Alright you guys, so now we're gonna get into the secrets, okay? Alright, so these kind of secrets you want to tell everybody, okay? You want all your friends to know, your EMT friends. You want to share this video because I want all of you guys out there to pass that NREMT and become EMTs, okay? So the first thing that you have to do is to find your learning style. And I think this is very important because your learning style affects the way you soak up this material. So there's 4 major ones. The first one is kinesthetic. So a kinesthetic learner is someone who does really well by doing activities. So if you're this kind of learner, what you want to do is practice in the lab. Like, you can come early and you can practice in the lab on the mannequins and the different equipments they have in the lab. So that was really helpful for me because I feel like I learned really well by visualizing things and actually doing things sometimes. So I think that is definitely important if you are a kinesthetic learner. The next is auditory. So this is someone who learns best by listening, okay? So sometimes what you can do is you can use your phone or a tape recorder to record lectures. And what I used to do is play these lectures on my way to school and on my way back home. So what I'm doing is sending all this information into my long-term memory because I'm constantly listening to it over and over again. So that was really, really helpful for me. The next kind of learner is a visual learner. So these are the kind of people who learn best by visualizing something that they saw in class, like maybe like a chart or a graph, and also by watching videos. And that's something that I used to do a lot, is just when I learned a certain concept, I would go and I would watch videos afterwards to really visualize what I'm learning. And the last one is by reading and writing. So these kind of people learn best by taking notes, okay, or reading something. So if you're this kind of learner, during class, you may want to make sure that you're taking really good notes and even rewriting the notes in your words so that you're able to understand it. Okay, so the next secret is that you want to study before class. And I know that we've been conditioned since we were younger to wait until we get to class and then we study after class, but that's just completely wrong, because what's going to happen is once you get home and you have questions, like who are you going to ask? Like you don't have anyone there that's going to be able to help you. So what you want to do is not do a deep study session before class, but you want to just skim over the material. You want to look at those bold letters in your textbook, look at pictures. And what I used to do is go to school like an hour early, and I would go to the library and I would look over my textbook, you know, the chapters that we're going to go over for the day. And then I would watch YouTube videos, because I told you guys I'm like more of a visual learner. So I would watch YouTube videos and try and understand the concepts, because I feel like I get very bored if I'm just reading a textbook like for hours and hours. So I need something to supplement that. So that's where those videos came into play. So that really helped me out. So by the time I got to class, I had like an understanding. Maybe I didn't know fully what that information was about, but I understood a little bit of what it was about. So when the instructor was talking about it, I was able to follow along and have questions. And also remember that you're not learning, like you're not memorizing, you're more trying to learn the concepts. So don't try and read every single line and memorize it, okay? You need to understand the whole concept so that you're able to answer like a million questions on the same topic, not just memorize what was in the book. So make sure that you're studying before class and you're preparing so that you'll have questions during class, okay? Alright, you guys, so the next secret is to take good notes. Okay, you want to make sure that when you're in class, you're taking notes where you're able to follow along after class, okay? Because you don't want to write something in class and then after class you don't understand what you wrote. Okay, and also, like I said, you can use your phone and record the lecture. That way you could go back and rewrite your notes. Because sometimes the professor or the instructor is going really fast and you can't keep up. So maybe, you know, recording the lecture would be the best option for you, but you want to make sure you take really good notes and you're focusing on the main concepts that the professor is talking about. The next secret is to ask questions, okay? And I feel like I have to mention that because sometimes people get embarrassed when they're in class and no one else is raising their hand, so they kind of feel stupid. But it's very important to ask questions, because maybe the person next to you want to ask questions but they're kind of scared. But I feel like if you're paying your money, don't even be scared to raise your hands, because you are paying for this lecture, you're paying for this class, so why not get the most out of it? Your instructor is there to prepare you, so you want to make sure that you are raising your hands when you have questions and making sure that you understand the material, because you don't want to be taking the test and kicking yourself because the question that you had showed up on the exam, and if you had just asked the question, you would have gotten that problem correct. So don't even be prideful, just do what you gotta do to pass, okay? If you have questions, make sure you ask. Alright, so the next secret is to study after class, okay? So remember, the goal is to get this stuff into your long-term memory. The more you study small chunks, the better it's going to be for you, because the last thing you want to do is cram. So all these tips I'm giving you is going to actually make your life easier, and you're going to actually spend less time studying because you're breaking it up into chunks. So you're studying before class, you're taking good notes, and then after class, on your way home, you're listening to that lecture, again, getting that information into your long-term memory. And then once you get home, you're studying a little bit, and then, you go to bed and you're doing the same things over and over again. So all these little things that you're doing is going to make your life much easier. And this is actually the definition of studying smart, not hard. So make sure that you are studying the material after class, so that you can remember it a lot easier. And also, I want to mention that if you have to set the mood, turn your little candles on, put your little rain sounds on to make it easier for you to study, do what you gotta do. I personally don't like listening to any music or hearing anything when I'm studying because it's really distracting. But I know people that study a lot better when they're hearing sounds and listening to music. So, just do you, whatever works for you, just do that. Just make sure that you pass. All right, so the next secret is to form study groups. Now, I'm going to caution you in saying that only form study groups if you're comfortable with the material. So if you're okay with the material and you want to share that information with someone else, that's a-okay. But for me, I didn't do study groups in EMT school because I get very distracted, and if I don't know the material, then it's kind of hard for me to go study with somebody else. So if you understand the material, then it's a-okay to go study with someone else. But I've actually known people that didn't do well on some of their exams because they studied with other people. I mean, they ended up just getting distracted and they didn't study as much as they could have if they studied alone. So only do this if you're comfortable with the material and you're able to collaborate with other people and share the information. And if you're really confused, always go to your instructor, okay? Always go, because they gave us plenty of opportunities to come in early. Sometimes they would open the lab early, like an hour early, and you can go in. So there's really no excuses, just get it done. All right, so the next secret is to do tons of practice problems, okay? You don't want to just do a few, because I think for me, in certain classes, I didn't do well because I was actually scared to do the practice problems because I was afraid I wouldn't get the answers right. And I know that sounds kind of crazy, but I would sit there and I would just keep studying, but I would be afraid to try the problems. If you're like that, make sure you start doing practice problems, because if you do really well on these problems, not only are you going to do well on the test, but it's actually good prep for the NREMT, because these books are supposed to have similar questions as on the NREMT, and you can use apps. Apps is very, very beneficial when studying for the NREMT and actually doing well in EMT school. So make sure that you're doing a lot of practice problems, because that's only going to help you in the long run, because it makes no sense to sit there and study and just keep the material in your brain without testing out if you actually understand the concept. So that's what these problems are for, is to really test, do you understand what you're reading? Okay, so make sure you do a lot of practice problems, do every single practice problems in the back of the book, and just really try your hardest in EMT school. All right, guys, so the next secret is to practice your scenarios. Okay, this is a big part of doing well on the NREMT and on your exams in class, because these step-by-step information is what you're gonna use to do well on the problems, okay? Because when you're thinking about these problems, you're thinking about, okay, what do I do first? Okay, what's next? And a perfect example that I always give you guys is that if you go on scene and someone's bleeding to death but there's a gun on scene, do you apply direct pressure or do you like leave the scene? Now, it's very tempting to say I'm gonna apply direct pressure, and I think that's what most people would put. But if you practice those scenarios and you memorize those steps, you would know that scene safety is always number one, okay? Now, if the scene is not safe, you cannot approach. So you have to get that extra help from the police. And then once the scene is secure, then you can go on scene and apply direct pressure. So that's why it's very important to learn the scenarios so that you will do well on your exam. All right, so the next secret is to ask for help early. Okay, you don't want to wait till the very last minute when you're failing and you really don't understand the material to say, okay, well, now is the perfect time for me to ask for help. Like, that's just not gonna fly, because by then, you know, it's probably too late. Who knows? I don't know. But you want to make sure that you ask for help early, because that little bit of information that your instructor may give you can help you in the long run, okay? So make sure that you ask for help early and start doing well very early, so that towards the end of the class you have room for, you know, maybe not doing as well, or if you get busy or something happens, then, you know, you have a little bit of wiggle room. But you never want to just wait till the last minute to start doing good. It's just not going to work out. All right, so my very last tip is to take breaks. Okay, that's the secret. You find ways to remain stress-free, because during this process it could be a lot of work and it's just constant, you know, going to clinicals and, you know, doing exams and doing labs. It can be really frustrating for people and very stressful. So you want to make sure that you find ways that you can remain stress-free, whether that's exercising. And when you're studying, you always want to make sure you take a break. I mean, what I used to do is I used to study and then I would probably watch an episode of some show that I like, you know, because that helps my mind to rejuvenate. And you don't want your mind getting really tired like after studying for just 1 hour. So if you are one of those people that need a break, take a break, you know, exercise, do something. And once you're at your saturation point, which is just where you cannot learn any more information, just give it up, hang it up for the night and do it tomorrow. But, you know, if you follow my tips, you're not going to get to this saturation point so quickly, because you're going to do chunking. You're going to study in small doses. That way you don't become overwhelmed. Okay, so make sure you follow all my tips. And, you know, I think that's about it. I don't have anything else. Make sure that you comment below if you have any tips that could be helpful for your fellow EMT students. And, you know, good luck in EMT school. Make sure you share your experiences below. Let me know if my tips are helpful. And I will see you guys on the next one. Bye.